Oh, hello. Uh, let's see. I'm trying this on my phone, and I actually have no way of knowing. It's given me no indication if this headset mic is actually sending audio, but I use it to talk on the phone, so it should be good. If somebody jumps in here and I'm totally silent, just let me know. Okay, so a couple days ago, my last published guest on the show, Michael Martin, tweeted something that I've heard a few times, and that is that listening to audiobooks is not reading. And I always have the same reaction. I've heard it many times. I always have the same reaction to this idea, and it's to bristle at it because audiobooks are kind of the number one way, like by a long shot, that I engage with published books. Um, and it struck me that, like just because I bristled at something, and just because audiobooks are my number one way of taking in works, it doesn't mean I'm necessarily right about that. Like, I respect Michael Martin enough to say he's got some kind of point on that topic. And obviously, he's a voracious reader. And I've composed a few different tweets in my head in response, in which I was trying to walk that line of not being rude and not being argumentative, but saying, like, actually, this is reading, and it's important that people recognize this. And at the end of the day, I thought it was actually better, which is what I'm doing now, to take a little bit of time, give a little bit of autobiographical information, because I've really wanted to sort of be encouraging to other people like myself who have struggled, like who I think I have an okay brain. Like, I think my mind is all right. My ability to understand things is pretty good. My ability to interact with others is fairly well developed. And yet, whenever I go to read a book, I get really mired down in like I read about the same speed as I would read aloud when I read silently. And I don't know why that is. It's not like I haven't tried to increase it, but I do know that it's very slow. Like, most people read much faster than they speak. And so, like, around 2016, I guess, whenever, like, right near the beginning of the Jordan Peterson phenomena, I started noticing that I could actually listen to lectures online that were pretty long and relatively complicated ideas wise, but that I could really, my brain could stick with that in a way that reading an actual book, I could not do. And I get sleepy no matter what time of day it is when I'm reading a book. Combine that with the fact that I have three small children, and like, basically, if I need to read something with my eyeballs, it's a huge slog. Like, if it's a book of any length. So I want to encourage people who are like me, without saying that audiobooks are equivalent to reading a printed book. And as is my usual style, I'm going to get kind of what would seem to many people to be unnecessarily spiritual and unnecessarily complicated in my reasons. So, one of the things I've become increasingly convinced about over like over the period of my adult life is that there's a spiritual impoverishment going on in Western society. And it's a spiritual impoverishment that goes across all the boundaries that you might be picturing in your head that would be boundaries for spiritual impoverishment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there is any one even religious or spiritual discipline or institution that is immune. And so, through the course of doing my podcast and everything, it started to seem to me that actually the sort of the underlying conditions of the human mind are increasingly not able to to sort of live with the transcendent and the sacred, and to live in these kind of what appear to be non-physical spiritual realms. And our minds have become increasingly interested in data and in efficiencies and things like that. And I don't even mean efficiencies like, efficiency sounds great, but like when efficiency just becomes a short attention span, which is definitely what it has become with me. I mean, before I even was thinking critically about these things, and before even that, I was incredibly involved in social media. My personal attention span was already decimated. And I may have ADHD of some kind. And I think probably we all do have ADHD of some kind. And I know that there's a lot of adults getting diagnosed with ADHD right now. And I actually think we're going to hit a point where people aren't even going to bother going to get diagnosed with ADHD. We're just gonna all say, yeah, we probably have ADHD. I don't remember the last time I spoke with someone about ADHD and they didn't suspect they might have it. Like, I don't know if I'm just surrounded by these twitchy hyper people like myself, or what. But my point is, we're losing spiritual capacities, and I think one of the spiritual capacities that we're losing is the ability to enter into the realm of imagination that is necessary for reading in long form. And I feel blessed in the sense that several years ago, I just recognized in myself that I was working very hard to be a spiritual person and a person who appreciates beauty and truth. And I was wanting to consider myself that kind of person while actually not having some of the fundamental tools to do so. My podcast and talking to the guests on my podcast has been one of the greatest things in my life, because talking to someone gives me the same feeling that I believe you are supposed to have in reading a book. In other words, my mind, because there's a set of eyes looking at me through Zoom, but a set of eyes nonetheless, I can be transported into the world of that person. And when I finally got my head straight about listening to people when they talk and really investing and engaging in whatever they're saying, I started to have, I don't even know if there's any episode of my podcast that wasn't kind of a transcendent experience for me. And it was also something that started to help me realize that I'm not stupid. Growing up, seeing people who were voracious readers, who I suspected on some level, like, I guess I'll just be honest, and you guys can hate me if you want to, but I felt like I was smarter than these people. And they were reading, voraciously, and reading, and when I was a kid, reading a book about the faith would have been, about the Christian faith would have been like this, really, that's an impressive thing. Good for you. You're reading all these books about faith. And I thought, man, not only am I smarter than these people, some of them are reading these Christian books and they're assholes. And so I guess I thought there was something wrong with me and with my brain, and maybe there's other people out there like this, where if you looked at the shelf of books that I purchased aspirationally over the years, like uh, just stuff like Nietzsche's genealogy of morals, and you know even I thought maybe Lolita might draw me in because it's sexy, or Dune, and all these, like, I have like all these really great, highly respected books, started and never finished, and so then when I finally broke down and got Audible and started listening to audiobooks, then like it really has kind of changed my life, and it's turned me around. I have now taken in some really great works, and some works with complicated ideas that I'm going to have to sit with. And it even got to the point where I am now working to produce audiobooks myself. I'm reading, if you're watching this live, you're probably one of the very few people on this planet who are aware of me at all. And you may have seen that I've done, I don't know, about 19 chapters of Owen Barfield's Saving the Appearances, because this was a book that I was desperate to read, but I took years to even like I never purchased the book because I've been so kind of internally defeated with the written word, and everything I had heard about this book was that like it was complicated and difficult, hard to read. And it's true, it is, but it's also a wonderful book. So I started narrating because I can actually read aloud pretty expressively and pretty well. So I guess I need to get around to sort of answering the question, like, is reading an audiobook reading? And I may not have a satisfying yes or no answer. I think, like, I'm also a musician, and I think every musician has had to get past the idea that a recording of an artist performing a song isn't listening, you know what I mean, isn't listening to music. I think we do know, though, that there's a wonderful quality of being in a room with live music when it's done well. And it's kind of a spiritual quality. I've been on both sides of that scenario. I've been the one playing, and I've been the one sitting in the audience. And you have to think that a book, a well-written book, is going to be full of more than you can process, even if you're reading it meticulously. There's something behind the words of that book that was glowing for that author, and they laid it down in a careful way so that you could take it in slowly, each, one word at a time. Yes, that is the intention. No author ever anticipated that people, or not anticipated, of course they know people will do this, but no author prefers that you space out and miss two whole paragraphs, something that happens to me when I'm reading, listening to an audiobook. That definitely happens. You have to go back, you have to listen to it again. And so, yes, I would say the highest form of reading is taking in those words. It's going through the ideas, and just like when something strikes you, stopping in your tracks, feeling the feelings of that, reading it again, highlighting it. I mean, that's all part of a beautiful experience that we would call reading. However, where I want to have great empathy for society and for people out there, is that I think that we're all suffering, even people who maybe don't have trouble reading a printed word necessarily, are suffering from this unquestioned background, tacit change and erosion of our ability to sit in imagination, to use any art form or any interaction with humans or nature or your own mind as a portal into a, a realm of greater life. This is something that, you know, we need it so badly that if you're like myself and you feel that the great library of humanity is behind glass, and an audiobook can get you there, then you have to do it. And you have to say, like, I think it's important. One of the most important things is not stopping the journey. You know, this tweet from Michael Martin has made me consider, because I respect him, you know, what is the ideal with reading? And I think I would like to set in my mind the intention and the aspiration to sink into a printed book in the future. And I would like to view my taking in of audiobooks as a preparation, you know, and that's like, that is one of the great things about sort of the spiritual life, is that we can view any state that we're in now as a preparation for something more, a preparation for something more beautiful. And we can always be moving and always be growing. So, yeah, so I guess we're 17 minutes and 27 seconds in, and I haven't said if audiobooks are reading or not, and I don't fucking know. I don't know. But my plan and my goal in life is to make more audiobooks accessible to people, and to also at the same time talk about the spirit. And you know, I've always had, to be honest, I've always had difficulty with poetry and things like that, because they require this capacity for sort of delving into aesthetic and like just beauty and transcendence and the sacred, just in my own mind, you know, and poems are often quite short. So it feels to me like the poem's done and I'm still trying to work up the, you know, work up the frame of mind that would be moved by it. And so I'm just putting that out there to say that, like, if that's you as well, if you have any of these struggles with printed words, just recognizing them and appreciating your own longing for beauty is a beautiful thing. You know, I'm not sure, but what the longing for God is sometimes the best thing in our lives. And that's what it is. When we want these transcendent experiences, these kind of affirming and soul-building experiences of reading, it's a desire for God. Even if you don't believe in God, it's a desire for the highest, you know, the highest in ourselves and the highest in reality. So keep pushing, don't stop. Listen to all the audiobooks you can get your hands on, if it's the way to get some of these ideas in your head. Okay, that's enough. You know, to many people, this will have sounded like I'm basically saying nothing for 20 minutes, but I'm hoping that someone who has felt like an idiot because they can't read will find it encouraging. Bless you. I hope you have a great day. Thank you very much. Oh, and I'm open to conversation about this. Please put something in the comments. Let's talk. All right.